Welcome back to Think in English, where we make learning English fun and easy. I'm John, and joining me today is the amazing Sarah.
Hey everyone, it's so great to have you with us. How's everyone doing on their English journey? I hope you're ready for another great episode today.
Absolutely. Today we're diving into a topic that a lot of people struggle with when they're learning English: thinking in English. If you've ever found yourself thinking in your native language and then trying to translate it into English, this episode is for you.
That's right. Thinking in English can feel like a huge challenge, and it's something many learners deal with. Even advanced English speakers can sometimes get stuck when trying to express their thoughts. So let's explore why that happens, and more importantly, how to overcome it.
So Sarah, let's start with the big question. Why is thinking in English so hard?
Well, John, the first reason is that our brains are used to thinking in the language we grew up with. It's natural. If you grew up speaking Spanish, for example, your brain is hardwired to think in Spanish. Switching to English can feel like trying to change gears in the middle of a race.
Exactly. And then, when you're learning a new language, your vocabulary might not be large enough to express everything you want to say. So, you end up thinking in your native language because it's easier.
Definitely. It's also a psychological barrier. We're often afraid to make mistakes, so we hesitate before we speak. Sometimes learners will avoid thinking in English because they feel it's too risky. It's like trying to walk on a tightrope without feeling confident in your balance.
That's a great point, Sarah. And it's not just beginners who face this struggle. Even people who have been learning English for years can sometimes feel stuck in their native language. It's completely normal to experience this, but it's important not to get discouraged.
Exactly. So the big question is, how can we overcome this? How do we start thinking in English more naturally?
So, let's get to the good stuff. How can we train our brains to think in English more easily?
One of the first things I recommend is starting small. It doesn't have to be complicated. For example, try describing your day in English. It can be as simple as, I woke up at 7 a.m., I had coffee, and now I'm recording this podcast.
That's a great tip, Sarah. Describing your day is a good start because you're already familiar with the events, so you can focus on the language. You don't need to worry about grammar too much at first. Just get used to thinking in English, even for simple things.
Yes, and you can also describe things around you, like, I'm sitting at my desk, there's a pen, a notebook, and my phone. Or, I'm sitting on my couch with a cup of tea. It's really helpful to practice these small descriptions daily.
And talking to yourself in English works wonders too. I know it might sound a little funny, but I'll often narrate my actions, like I'm opening the door, or I'm brushing my teeth. It helps get my brain into the English mode.
Yes, it's all about creating that mental habit. And don't forget, building your vocabulary is crucial. The more words you know, the easier it will be to express your thoughts in English. Start learning a few new words every day.
Right. And you don't need to memorize long lists of words. Focus on words that are useful to you. You can use apps, flashcards, or write new words down in sentences to reinforce them.
And remember to review those words regularly, but don't overdo it. Space out your reviews. For example, check your flashcards after one day, then after a few days, and so on. This method helps improve memory retention.
That's a good strategy. The more words you learn and use, the more you'll begin to think in English without realizing it. Over time, it'll start to feel more natural. Now, let's go over some important vocabulary related to today's topic.
Sure. First, we have overcome, which means to defeat a challenge. For example, she overcame her fear of speaking English in front of people.
Next is express, meaning to show or communicate something clearly. For example, he expressed his excitement about learning a new English word.
And confidence, feeling sure of yourself. For example, speaking English in front of others gave her more confidence.
Then there's narrate, which means to tell a story or describe events. You could say, he narrated his day in English, explaining everything he did.
And last, but not least, benefit. This means a positive result. For example, learning English has many benefits, such as meeting new people and traveling more easily.
Now, let's talk about confidence. It's such an important part of thinking in English. How can learners build their confidence?
Great question. One thing that really works is immersion, surrounding yourself with English. You can start by listening to English music, reading simple books or articles, and even watching your favorite movies with English subtitles.
Yes. And when you watch movies, try to pay attention to how people speak in real-life situations. It helps you get a feel for conversational English, and you can pick up slang or common phrases.
And here's something fun. Try singing along to English songs. Not only is it a fun way to practice pronunciation, but it's also a great way to get used to the rhythm and flow of the language.
Absolutely. And when it comes to practice, it's key to find opportunities to speak. There are great apps like HelloTalk or Tandem, where you can talk with native speakers. It's a safe and supportive environment to practice.
You can even find English-speaking clubs or groups online. Joining these communities helps you practice with real people and boosts your confidence. The more you speak, the more natural it becomes to think in English.
So, Sarah, what do you say to learners who feel like they're not improving fast enough?
I say be patient with yourself. Learning a language is like growing a tree. You don't expect a tiny seed to grow into a giant tree overnight, right?
Exactly. Progress takes time. You're not going to be thinking in English fluently in a week, and that's okay. Celebrate the small wins along the way. Did you manage to speak English for 5 minutes today? That's a victory.
Definitely. Even tiny steps matter. Maybe you ordered food in English today or had a short conversation with someone. All of these moments show that you're progressing, and it's important to recognize that.
Right. And keep practicing. Mistakes are part of the process. Everyone makes them. Remember when babies start speaking? They don't get everything right at first, but with practice, they get better. You're just like that baby, but with bigger words.
Exactly, and don't forget to enjoy the process. Language learning should be fun. The more you enjoy it, the easier it will be to stay motivated.
Well, that's it for today's episode. We hope you feel inspired to start thinking more in English. Remember, keep practicing, stay patient, and celebrate your progress.
Thanks for listening, and we'll see you in the next episode.
Bye for now.
Bye.